Mr Speaker.
I call the Honourable Minister Chris Finlayson.
Mr Speaker, I too acknowledge the people of Maungaharuru, Tangitu, Hapu and the long road that they have taken to reach this day. I welcome those who have travelled from the Hawke's Bay to be here to listen to this, the third reading of their bill. To those of you who have worked so tirelessly to make today possible, I offer you my sincere thanks. It's wonderful to have this day arrive. It's been more than 20 years since Fredretti, Bevan Taylor and Heitia Hiha with others brought their Raupatu claim to the tribunal, and those three individuals have been involved in the negotiations to this day. I acknowledge the many kui and kaumatua who are no longer with us, including Rere Puna and Arona Rangateri Taurima, who provided leadership, wisdom and inspiration to the negotiators and to the Hapu in their long journey for justice. Mr Speaker, I think the negotiators and the Komiti for Maungaharuru, Tangitu, Hapu have done their people proud. They left no stone unturned, no aspiration untold. Their determination to achieve the best for the Hapu, I think, has led to a robust settlement package. It's a package which clearly reflects the four aka or vines, the intertwined aspirations of the Hapu, which I believe will continue to grow upwards long after settlement date. This bill settles the historic treaty grievances of the Maungaharuru Tangitu Hapu. In this bill, the Crown formally acknowledges its breaches of the treaty, offers an apology and provides cultural, financial and commercial redress. Mr Speaker, I think it would be good if many New Zealanders looked at the history of this Hapu. The claims relate primarily to war, Raupatu and Crown land purchasing methods which left the Hapu virtually landless by 1930. The Crown purchased large areas of land from the Hapu in the 1850s and 1860s without ensuring the Hapu would always retain adequate reserves. In October 1866, the Crown's military forces unjustly attacked Maori at Maranui and Petane and began to treat the Hapu as rebels. Some individuals were detained without trial for nearly 2 years on the Chatham Islands, and after they escaped became embroiled in a war with the Crown, during which Crown forces summarily executed some prisoners at Ngatapa in 1869. The Crown confiscated Hapu land at Tangoio North and awarded their land at Kaiwaka to one of its Maori allies who was not a member of the Hapu. This led to the Hapu beginning litigation, which proved fruitless and led to huge costs for the Hapu, which were borne for generations. The Crown's confiscation process led to the extinguishment of the Hapu's customary titles to nearly all of their remaining land. The Crown did agree in 1870 to grant this remaining land to individual members of the Hapu, and also agreed this land would be inalienable. However, between 1911 and 1930, the Crown unfairly and oppressively purchased nearly all of this land and left the Hapu virtually landless. Mr Speaker, since the 1880s, deforestation and the development of pastoral farming has significantly increased erosion and pollution in the Takiwā. For example, the health of Lake Tutira has dramatically deteriorated, and the Hapu have lost significant fisheries here and along the coastline. Over the years, many Hapu family lines died out due to infectious diseases and diseases of poverty such as typhoid and tuberculosis. Although living conditions and Crown health services have improved since 1945, there continues to be a substantial disparity between the health of Hapu members and other New Zealanders. So, Mr Speaker, the Crown failed actively to protect the Hapu from the degradations of war, the alienation of their land and the effects of native land laws. The Hapu were not able to retain their land, maintain it economically, or prevent its deterioration. As with all treaty settlements, it's not possible to provide full reparation for the losses which have been suffered. By entering into a full and final settlement, the people of this Hapu have agreed to forego full compensation, thereby contributing to the future development of New Zealand, and I place on record on behalf of the Crown our acknowledgement of that and our thanks for this act of generosity. Mr. Speaker, as so often happens in a third reading, there are so many people who deserve to be acknowledged, those who have contributed to this settlement over the years. I want to acknowledge my ministerial colleagues, in particular the Minister of Maori Affairs and the Minister of Conservation. The Hawke's Bay Regional Council and the Hastings District Council deserve recognition because they really have been very helpful and been very willing to engage with officials and the Hapu, and that's been central to a number of elements of the redress. I acknowledge the Select Committee and my good friend Tau Henare. Now's not the time for a valedictory address in the direction of Mr. Henare, but he's been a fantastic chair of the Maori Affairs Select Committee over many years, and he is going to be missed. I want to acknowledge the valuable support and contribution made by the work of many government officials and departments who have contributed to this settlement. I also acknowledge those who have worked with Maungaharuru Tangitu, and I particularly want to mention their advisors. I see Professor Richard Boast up there in the gallery. He is this country's preeminent legal and treaty historian. His analysis of the history of this Hapu needs to be read. It's devastating. And I love the story of how he became involved when a bright young law student called Tanya Hopmans approached his office in the law faculty at Victoria University and asked him a couple of questions, and the rest, as they say, is history. So I thank him for the work that he does, not only for this Hapu, but for other settling groups around the country as well. I also acknowledge his wife Deborah Edmonds and the team at Kensington Swan, who have done very good work in this area over many years. Most importantly, I acknowledge the tireless work of the Maungaharuru Tangitu Hapu, and in particular their negotiators Tanya Hopmans and Bevan Taylor. They are two of the nicest and most professional negotiators with whom I have worked in this area, and it's so nice that I was so willing to concede on so many points. I know you've had a huge load to carry, and it's not just been your sacrifice. I'm very grateful to your families for supporting you to fight hard for your Hapu and to get your settlement to this point. To the members of the Committee of Maungaharuru Tangitu Incorporated and to the Trust, thank you for supporting your negotiators and making some extremely difficult decisions at critical points. The dedication and determination of the Hapu has been vital in the path towards settlement, and I commend you for your commitment to negotiating a settlement with the utmost good faith, with tenacity, and it does take courage. Mr. Speaker, this settlement is the basis of a new relationship between the people of Maungaharuru Tangitu Hapu and the Crown, based on trust and cooperation and respect, and it will succeed if the Crown, regardless of administration, honours its commitments to this Hapu, not just tomorrow, not just in 10 years or 25 years or 50 years, but forever. And that is why it's so important to ensure that the Crown lives up to its commitments, and that's why we've established the Post-Settlement Commitments Unit. Mr. Speaker, once again, thank you to those who have travelled here this morning. I commend this bill to the House.
Mr. Speaker.
I call the Honourable Member Rino Terakatani. Tēnā koe, Rino.
Tēnā koe. Kororia hareruia kia iho o ngā